Kindly sit down. Thank you for your courtesy. His Excellency Rafael Harpas, Ambassador of Israel to the Philippines, Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldia, Trade and Industry Secretary Ramon Lopez, and members of the Cabinet, Davao's Philippine Ambassador to Israel, Nathaniel Imperial, Davao City, Sarah Zimmerman Duterte. Mama, you have to forgive her. She might be attending to her daughter. Pakitawag yung our friends from the Philippine and Israel business community, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I have a guide of what to talk about. It's a good one, but may I just say first to the Israel people and the government, thank you for allowing us to visit in your place and to see more of, every dream of every Filipino, the middle class and those who can really afford. It's kind of a built-in urging inside to visit the Holy Land. That's why you see many Filipinos, including my wife, was here, but she's sick and she was here again twice to seek the solace and sanctity of the place. So I'd like to thank the President and the Prime Minister for giving us the invitation to visit you. No words are enough really to characterize our relations between Israel and the Philippines. So much goodness and goodwill have been passed around throughout the years, and we see that we have the best of relations between the two countries. There will never be time that the Philippines and Israel would have a conflict even in the space of hegemony of influence, geopolitics, simply because one is that we read the same Bible, we say the same prayer, and of course our shared values. So much has been said about me and now about the criminals and the drugs and the ISIS operating in my country. And of course, there's also the rampaging, murderous bandits that abound in Mindanao. I must have known that I'm a public, or I was a public prosecutor for 9 years. I was doing trial work in court. And as a matter of fact, my favorite book is, I don't know if it's being used here, it's Einstein, Goldstein rather. And he was one of those popular American Jew who wrote that book by Goldstein called The Trial Technique. It's about court strategy and practice. I do not want you to feel that I am repeating a redundant statement. But little as we are as a country, and however humble it may be, the Philippines, Philippine Republic has stood by your side in your critical review. And in the same manner that you were around during the times of our despair and needs. Marawi was a shining example. I do not think that there is a secret there or that it should be hidden from the public. But I'd like to acknowledge, as I have acknowledged it everywhere, that the equipments that you lent us help the military of the Republic of the Philippines win the war against the ISIS in Marawi. As I have been telling before, in front, I do not want to offend my military men. But there's a quirk something. During my first days of my presidency, I called for a command conference. And everyone had his time. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, so he's a spokesman. Then the time for the police to render the report. And there was a summation of all the things that we had to do. But when my time came to speak, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I do not mean to offend you, but you have failed to mention to me the dark clouds ahead. I see them looming in the horizon. And I said, good afternoon, Vice Mayor, your seat is here. So, may I introduce my daughter? She's a descendant of a Jew who were the ones who went to the Philippines to seek the sanctuary from the persecution in Europe. Her last name is, her mother's name is Elizabeth Zimmerman. So, she is here. And she whispered to me, is it possible for me to acquire dual citizenship? I said, of course, maybe they would accommodate you, for indeed you are. So I said, there's a big dark clouds looming ahead. And they would ask me. It is a very interesting story. I know that you are here for the signing, but if you want to listen to me, this is how it worked. It played out. Indeed, I said, there is this group, Abu Sayyaf. They're a bunch of bandits who know nothing but to kill people even after the ransoms were paid. And they would decapitate people whom they capture in front of cameras. And I said, these are the people that the ISIS would go to and seek also the sanctuary. And be careful. For the first time I said, they will come. I was observing the movements of in this place, how they went ahead with Mosul, Aleppo, and all of these things. At one time they were there, but it has been about so many years of fighting without a respite for the good people of the Middle East, to those who do not want war. So it came to pass that they were there. And the depredations doubled, and this time they had the ideologues. And when a tribe, a politician or a bandit he used to, I don't know if he was the one who ran for office or lost. He was assigned as the, forgot the name of, but he was the chieftain that was selected by the ISIS to do the organization and to bring the ideology inside Mindanao, an island in the Philippines. And at that time, I saw already from the reports that the arms were being passed around, and we kept track of that. But what we actually failed to appreciate, and I, being the commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, I have to assume that responsibility, that there was quite a failure of intelligence. And that we saw, we failed to appreciate the ordnance that they were able to keep in the city. And it lasted for almost 4 months of fighting. And only because at times they prevailed, because they were already occupying the buildings of that city, protected by the cement and iron bars. So the first day that the police went to the place to serve a warrant of arrest because of a drug case, they were met with resistance, a fierce one, prompting the Philippine Marines to go there and help. And on the second day of fighting, while they were crossing a bridge, every Marine officer was taken down by sniper fire. And so we were not able really to determine from where the sound came from and all of these things. And even the accuracy of our equipments, because we could not really pinpoint the exact location. Israel came in, it helped. They were there, operated, and some lent us able to precisely to know where the shot came from what building and from what room. That is how accurate it is. So we're able to scan the buildings, and if there is a fire, the blackboard that has been recording the fighting would know that it came from that building. And so, little by little, and at night, we had a vision, so we could tell them moving around. And we could fire with accuracy, even with our snipers. And I don't know about the United States. I do not have any, except that there's a little bit of, it's not easy to be a president of a country who has so many million loose firearms in the hands of people who are not supposed to be in possession. And I have to contend with so many troubles there, and I'm sure that you have heard about human rights. I am a lawyer. I was baptized. I am a Christian, and I believe in the value and sanctity of life. But for the life of me, I can never tolerate banditry, the ISIS thing of just killing people, children and all. I only kill criminals. And if you ask me now, yes, I do. But, when I was mayor, it was a troubled city. It was in Mindanao. The first thing I did after winning was that we are not in a position to be economically sound to build more roads and more bridges. The first thing that I have to do is to build a city that would be comfortable for everybody. When I said comfortable, they will be freed of the killings and which was ever present. We lose 3 to 4 policemen and soldiers a day by assassination in the midst of the city. And your intelligence people know that because they were there also. So I said, I'm going to build a city. Do not destroy it. And for the drug people, do not kill our children because they are our only assets. We are not rich. When we grow old, I have to go to my daughter because we do not have properties to sell so that we can pay for the hospitals, for the oxygen, and for the antibiotics and all. We have to, but it's, I know, God's will that we are just migrants in Mindanao. We never expected this kind of life. I come from a poor father. Because had it been otherwise, we would not have to transfer from the Visayas to Mindanao to seek the greener pasture. So it was the dream of my father that I carried along. So when I became mayor, I said, do not do anything, especially our children. Because until now, drug is really flooding the country. It's the bamboo triad based somewhere there in the triangle of Burma, Cambodia. They are the ones now running the show of drugs in Southeast Asia. Now, cannabis, ano yung isa? Cocaine is finding its way into our shores. And it is a commodity that is for the who can afford. It's quite expensive. But shabu is just a chemical. And you know what? One of the mixtures there is formalin to preserve the dead and some water to manufacture the shabu. So it is really of our national interest to protect my young people. And when I became president, I said, do not destroy my country and do not destroy our young. Otherwise, we book kaput. You know, however or whatever the arguments of the human rights are, by count, by physical surrender, they numbered about 1 million, although the original computation was 3 million. There are about, to me, 3 million drug addicts reduced to slavery who are now rendered inutile because the brains are racked up. And they cannot be productive citizens. And you have reduced them into slaves because they have to get the chemical called shabu every day of their lives. Nothing more. And that is why I said, if you destroy my country, my God, I will kill you. And if you destroy our daughters and sons, we are not rich. Some of us could barely send our children to school. I don't know why this is so, but God can answer that question. maybe it's part of the universal equation of how things are. Nobody can explain that. It's only when you die and begin to understand, when you travel the universe after, and you soar into the place where God is, then maybe the answer is there. But in the meantime, I cannot just sit there and pray all day. I pray, and I said, go out. That is my order to the military and police. Go out, destroy the apparatus, the organization. If you have to kill, by all means kill. And there's only one, everywhere, the same philosophy, is that you can only kill if your life is also in danger. So if the enemy wants to kill you, then feel free to kill him first. It's just one squeeze of a trigger. But I do not go to my troops and say, be patient, wait for the idiot to draw his gun, because between the drawing and the gun and pointing it at somebody is just a matter of seconds. The human rights people have brought me to ICC, and the problem, I said, I just kept quiet all along because I was a prosecutor. I said, and I knew my law. Would you believe it? No lawyer at all, near or far from me, officially or privately, had the idea of what my defense would be. So I just kept quiet. But when the time came for me to talk, I said, you know, you idiots there, you can never acquire jurisdiction over my person. Not in a million years. Why? Because they simply forgot. And that was really a blessing. You know, in all democratic countries, we do not pass laws that are sub rosa. We do not do it a decree secretly. You publish a law, that there is a law which says that it is wrong, and this is your punishment. Without that, how can you now say that, oh, no, ignorance of the law excuses no one? Then the guy must realize that there is a law, but if you are ignorant of it, then there's no law at all, because they failed to publish it in the official gazette. The Rome Statute talks about international court, talks about the office of prosecutors, and talks about the office of the line agencies under their command. But in the Philippines, it is important that before a law becomes a law, from the concurrence, we have to concur with the statute, with the agreement. You have to go to the president for his signature. Then the papers goes to the Senate for concurrence. Then you send it back to me so that I can order the Bureau of Printing to print the law and publish it. What they did was, after the signing of the agreement by the senators, because of their eagerness, they flew to Rome and attached supposedly the law binding the Philippines now as a member. But I just kept quiet. You know, there are lawyers here. In the morning when I was a prosecutor, when I look at the papers, the first thing that I would ask myself is, do this court have jurisdiction over the case. So what are the elements? Publication is very important. Without publication, our Supreme Court said there is no law at all. And so I was just letting them both. I said, go ahead. You criticize me. I said, I just dismiss it with a nonchalant because they thought I was a madman. I was a despot. Well, I said, go ahead and investigate. And the time came that they said they would now publish it and the indictment and it go to the UN. And I said, told my countrymen, do not believe in those idiots. They're a bunch of ignorant people. And so that's what happened. You did not publish the law. So how do you suppose you can prosecute me? There is no law. Because if there is no publication, then the Constitution applies. In that document, the Constitution, which is binding to all, it is the Bible of every community, international countries who believe in democracy. You have rules, the Constitution, and it's a sacred one. In there says that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the protection of that Constitution. So how would this apply to me? I am now being charged of violating human rights. There is no such crime in the revised penal code about what is extrajudicial killing. This murder, homicide, everything, but extrajudicial killing is very, very foreign to us. Well, anyway, I said, in my case, that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied equal protection. How does it operate for me? Because they forgot to publish it, or in their hurry, they just flew to Rome. We just wanted to go around and we're in a hurry there to, they just went ahead and appended. So, in the process of hurrying up along the way, they forgot the publication. And therefore, to insist on indicting me under the Rome Statute would be now a violation of my constitutional right. If say that they can, we say now, we withdrew. We did not, there was nothing to withdraw because in the first place, there was not even a law. Because the law has to be published so that people understand and know that there is a law. Otherwise, I can say, ignorance of that law would excuse you. It's always saying, when you go to another country, you are a foreigner, sorry. But ignorance of the law excuses no one. But if your laws require a publication and you did not, then that becomes a problem. Now, how about the killing? Correct. I ordered. But who are the persons I ordered not to be killed? I said, destroy the apparatus of the organization. So when you say destroy to the military man, that is really to dismantle the crime organization. And if you try to resist and fight it out, then you're dead. then that's the long and short of it. How do you suppose a policeman would say, you destroy the apparatus of that gang they're operating somewhere? You have to go after them, arrest them, and if they resist, then you kill them. Especially when you are sure that your life in fulfilling your obligations as a police officer is put in peril. So that you might know, because I feel that it's important for you guys, especially the lawyers, to know where I stand. And that is my stand. I never ordered any police operation or military maneuvers against the Rotary, the Lions International, or the Kiwanis. Never. I said criminal. I do not like criminals. Especially if you destroy my country, because by flooding it would have reduced my country to shambles. Well, there are so many critics about the killer. I have about more. True. I was just a mayor. I was not a political figure in our country. I was just a mayor of a small city down south. If you look at the map, that's Mindanao. If you look at the map, your right hand is the east. From where you are, your left hand is the west. If you are in Thailand, then you go face north, same. So in my city, it's down south. I was just a small town mayor. And I was never able to separate my personality, because I am not a split personality. I never transform into something like a town mayor and being president. And so I have about, I curse, I throw epithets a lot when I'm angry. And they said that, this Duterte is not a statesman. He should not be going to anywhere. He would put us to shame. He talks like a gangster, and he curses everybody. Correct. Because I never studied to be a statesman. There's no course as a statesman. I studied law. I grew up in a place where there's a lot of trouble until now. And our paradigm seems to be far different from the cultured ones in the especially the 400 of society, the elite. I do not, they are not my enemies, but I do not like, I do not mix with rich people. And they are the ones who are almost offended by my behavior. I said, there's the one thing there is that I won the presidency. My vote was 6 million over the next opponent. How, you ask me, how did you manage to win? I'm really sorry. You have to ask someone else. And even I only had no backers, no senator was helping me. Nobody was giving me money, because I was always fourth. Number one is Rojas and Grace Pod. They would be sometimes first, but I was always in the fourth. So, how did I don't know. But one thing is sure. if it is really needed by a country, they will forget money. Or they will get your money and forget you. That is how when you go into a vote buying. Me, I had nothing. I had only 5 messages. And these are the ones now I'd like to talk to you about. It's hot here, like the Philippines. I only had, during the presidential debates, which was run nationally, during the intermissions, I was the only one who had no propaganda. So I could not afford it. During our several meetings in a debate nationwide, and during the intermissions, the propaganda of every candidate was there because of the money. I had none, so I just said, well, this is what I said to them. If God wants me to be president of this republic, I will be the president of this republic. Believe me. You guys, when you go for the premier or president, first, do not forget to say in public, if God wants me to be president or prime minister of Israel, I will be. That's the only thing that I can say. But it was also the messaging. I've only 5. This would apply to you actually. One, I said, there will be no corruption. So I'm very strict about corruption. And even fired several of my companions who were with me during the early days in 1988 when I became mayor. They were with me in the several elections, maybe 9. I never lost a single election. Then I said to them, no corruption of any kind. Now, there are a lot of corruptions in the Philippines. True, but I'm trying my very best. I have fired several of my closest friends. I told my cabinet members not even a whiff of corruption. Then I said, I will fight drugs. Then I said, I will not dirty my hands with money in politics. The standing order to all of my cabinet members who are here is no transaction of any kind, any contract, any agreement between the Philippines and a private person, or even a government office or the government office. They will not reach my table. It begins and ends with the cabinet member. That is really how it is. So that in doing so, I tell everybody, if you are into business in the Philippines, there are rules to be followed. But I'm going to make it simpler and simpler, the rules, when I go back. And I want it really to be graft-free. And if there's any one of you here now, and I give you my guarantee, if any one of you here who do business in the Philippines and you are given a hard time, especially if you are being milked or extorted or being asked to even a peso, tell me, I will grant you an audience even in the middle of the night and hear you out. And I guarantee you, just remember the official with whom you are transacting. You name him, I will call him, and in front of me, I will say to you, slap him. Slap him twice on both cheeks, because he is insulting you, he's insulting your character, and for me, he puts my country into shame. So they say that I'm fond of jokes. No, I'm not. So if that person you're complaining about is found without a head, then that is your maybe guarantee that the next time this guy or the other guys will be. I have no compunction about. I'm quite. I'm fond of slapping people in public. It does not make any effort. Unlike when you box a guy, you sometimes hurt your. Slapping is just. So that's it. That's my guarantee. You invest, and pretty soon there'll be an office who will just. As I have said, I want this reiterated in front of everybody, and even here, that when you file your application, you're given a list of all the things that you have to submit and the things that you have to do. Then file it there in that office. We will hand carry it to the office where it's concerned, and we will tell you, you deal with this person in that office, who's the one in charge of processing. If there's a machinery that you'd want to import, you just use the regular channels. And if you want to participate in the build, I don't know if we still have the money, but my transportation secretary is here. Art Tumindico, you might be the one chosen to build the train from here to the Philippines. Tumindico. So if you have, you want to have a skyway across the Indian, what's the route? Then he's the man. He's the valedictorian of my class in the law school. He's really good. Even we were students, he was already a CEO of a large shipping company. Doesn't have to steal. He has billions. He even financed my candidacy. And we have also General Anyo. He was the former chief of staff. He just resigned and retired, and I got him to be the Secretary of Interior and Local Governments. The police, PNP, is under him. But the national defense, I request General Lorenzana. It's like he's a very simple man. He was also the valedictorian in his class. And I don't know if he was the PMA valedictorian in the Philippine Military Academy. Next to him is a seasoned politician who is in charge of labor, Silvestre Bellio. Stand up. He is fond of not wearing socks. I've been told that tell me when is your next birthday and I will buy you a pair of good. I have with me the DNR the environment guy, General Simato, also. He is no stranger. He's retired, but during his retirement days, he was also taken in by President Arroyo before to come here in the Middle East to manage the situation during the troubled years. He went ahead because I told him, go ahead, because you know it with your fingertips, the situation. And I had a briefing last night. And so I have Secretary Vijaldia, also from, and the Department of Trade and Industry, Ramon Lopez, Secretary. So as you can see, those who are here are really, our ambassador is here. Tony Lambino, he's in charge of an economic zone. And then I have, I have my press secretary, Roque, Secretary Roque. Obviously, you know that his hair is not true. And beside him is Secretary Kusi, is the energy. And I said there are two Filipinos here who have Jewish blood. Senator Gordon. He has a lineage of Jewish blood also. But in my family, it's Inday, my daughter. So these are the guys that you'd want to, or if you want a nearer connect, then you can ask. Inday is a dialect, it's like Mary, something like that. I mean, a lot of the Inday is when you love your daughter, we call that Inday. It's Inday. But this is Sarah Zimmerman Duterte. Look at the size, like your soldier here, tall, and so that was the second. Corruption. The third is that I would not meddle. For the life of me, I'm sure that Israel is, whenever I talk to over the phone, I know that everybody is listening. And I would always tell the guy on the other line, at the end of the line, I do not use cell phones to talk about state matters. It's always, I do not call them. I don't even know the number. I want very hard. I want it you to know that I am hard on this rule of not using anything except if Inday is not here, then I can tell you the guys on the other end of the line. It's always a promiscuous and lascivious conversation. It's always with a lady. Then I said, Dick, why don't you pull a chair and umupo ka na dito? Senator has been, Gordon has been the mayor of Olongapo City. His father was also the mayor before. He has been elected for several years. And for senator, this is this. I don't know, how many times have you been elected senators, Dick? Four? Twice, sir. Twice. Yeah. Kasi, so, you have Senator Gordon. Now, the third is that I said I would talk to the enemies of the state, make peace with them if possible. I've been talking to Murad, the MILF head of a revolutionary group, a large one in Mindanao, and they have, the MILF itself agreed to talk to us and participate in amending the Constitution, if it's possible, from unitary to federal type, and this will be the mechanism where we can fit in what we have agreed upon into some of the regional structures and changes that would be needed, including the finance. The other large group is Miswari. He has kept his faith as a Filipino. He doesn't want to fight and is waiting for my cue. And I've been discussing this with my military men, and he's asking for something which I have to discuss with the Filipino people. As yet. So, Communist Maria Sison, the head, I don't think I can agree on him on any point because he has so many demands. He distributed in the so many issues that they presented, several about governance, taxation, and all. But if you sum it up, it would end like they are demanding a coalition government. I cannot, I said, agree with you because I cannot give you what I do not know. And that is a coalesced government which is not simply allowed. And if I do it, it will, the military will also kill me because my soldiers are into the ways of democracy. And communism is not acceptable to almost all of the people. They are just a minority, but they are waging a war there. And what is sad is that for the many times that you should know this because some of the CIA guys are here. I know. And so you know, the Communist Party of the Philippines has fallen into a trap of, destroying itself. The leaders are aging, and they are asking for more than what we can really give them. And I said, I cannot have that power. It belongs to the Filipino people, especially in amending the Constitution. So we have this war going on. And they are the ones that are the loudest in shouting violation of human rights. They are rebelling, and their target is to overthrow the government. That is why they are the Communist Party of the Philippines. The problem is they are the ones very loud. I lose something like 3 to 4 policemen a day to the drug syndicates all over the country. As I have said, Bamboo Triad is now controlling Southeast Asia's commerce of drugs. Mexico is coming in, Senulosa, with cocaine and hashish and all. They have mastered the art of the container ships that go around the world, and you can find them in the compartment or where they would heat it or place it there and place many things that are not really of no consequence, but that they contain drugs. Be careful because they are using Senyelosa is using the worldwide container wherever they travel and wherever they go to any country. So we have the NPAs, we have the Muslim insurgency, and the drugs, but the most problematic also is the Filipinos itself. You cannot do good; it's always wrong, and so we just have to navigate where democracy allows us a space to work and produce results. So that is how it is done. Then I said that I will not talk to the NPAs anymore. Maybe we'll have to fight. What is really painful to me, and I would like to express this so that America will realize that long before I became president, we ordered 23,000 pieces of M16s because it was needed by the police. And we were conscious ever of the brewing trouble in Marawi. And of course they would say, yes, you have so many weapons. Correct. But those were the weapons that were bought by Marcos during the early years of the Black Shirt Revolution. And they were used extensively during the wars. And they are still the ones that are being used by the police in some parts of my country. Sometimes the bolt flies out, or the barrel simply melts. There is no more accuracy because there is no rifling. With so many thousands going out of the barrel, a heated one, they lose the rifling inside, which gives it the momentum for accuracy. As it travels along the open space, it is continually making a... So we ordered, and America agreed, but on last minute, some American legislators, I think senator or congressman, two of them, one senator, one congressman, spoke out against this export of these rifles to replace the old ones. You know, I said, America, in my speech, one day you will realize that you are far more worse 10 times over than our problems, and it's drugs. Look at America now. So we ordered that for the police, in addition to the fact that there were already some rumblings in the Marawi area, in Mindanao. But at the last minute, they said, we cannot give it to you because of one or two congressmen who spoke against it. So we needed those rifles. The need was great because there was already fighting somewhere in Mindanao. And as a matter of fact, when I realized that I could not get one, even, I was forced to go to, not really forced, but it was a choice. But to no other reason, I was to go to China. So I talked with Mr. Xi Jinping, and he was very honest. He's good. He can talk. He can communicate. And I said, I have a claim against you. I have a claim against China for occupying the whole of the China Sea. So this is the first time that a country has opted to claim an ocean, not just the territorial limits of 12 miles from the shores or the economic zones of 200 kilometers. So, but I come here not to quarrel, but to ask for your help. we can talk about this, but I said, we will talk about this during my term. But for now, I said, I'd like to buy some firearms, even for the M16s, if you have. And he said, no problem. I can give it to you free. So he gave me some rifles. Then still, because we were only given so much, we cannot ask for more because it was gratis. I had to go to Russia. It was in Russia, when I was in Russia, that was the day that Marawi fighting broke out. I said, were it not for the help of Israel and some other countries, Indonesia, I don't know about America. I never asked. We have this, not a love-hate relationship, but I just don't feel like talking to them. And I realize my military is really pro-American. You know why? Every graduate from the Philippine Military Academy, especially if you are bright, these three generals here went to America to study at one time during their careers. I am very sure Roy Simato went there. John Anyos went there also. So they're more attuned to the American way and even in the handling of weapons. So I said, maintain your friendship. Me, just leave me alone. I will not fight America, it's too powerful, but I have a deep sentiment. I cannot, if you are a CIA, kindly reach your right hand, please. Nobody is CIA. I want to talk to you after this. You know, I said, however humble and little my country is, I am the head of state. Now, just because you are the president of the United States, you just cannot talk about me, the president of the Philippines, and in a press briefing, you criticize me. And you say in public, said the Saturday, like it to know that you are, it's not acceptable, to what you're doing in your country, and simply it's not the way how things are done, and blah, blah, blah. So I said, the media asked me, you were berated by Mr. Obama, or the President of America. Really? What did he say? Oh, well, it's a lot to, he has a strong drawl in his tongue. Not even make sure what it is, but you have to sort it out what he said. So you just tell him, you can go to hell, Obama. You're a son of a bitch. Just because we're in. You have no right to do that. If you have something against me, go to the United Nations and file the case. Why do you have to blot it out in the open in a press briefing? I am not a county or a mayor here or a janitor of White House. You do not do it. That's what I said. Then came Trump. He calls me. I called him. I said, to congratulate. Every head of state would always do that. I called him and said, congratulations, Mr. Trump, on your... Oh, is this the president of the... Yes, sir. Oh, I'd like to invite you to visit me here in America. You should come here. We could talk. So, if I have the time, Mr. President. But, I run a very tight schedule. Oh, well, maybe, but... you've heard that I'm going to the Philippines. Yes, I'm waiting with great expectations. So he comes to my country, he goes public, he says, "Oh, Rodrigo, you are my man here. I like what you're doing. You're doing a fine job. Killing people." He never said. He just said that you're doing fine. And even said, I might follow you. You follow me and you. So, Mr. CIA, I'm sure you're after my neck. What are the values that I would enjoy to share with you? Here's one president berating me, and another one praising me. So you're bad, but Mr. Trump says, "Oh, you're good. You're my friend. You're doing fine." "Oh, really, sir?" "Yes. You go to America, and I'm inviting you. If I have the time, Mr. President, I'd go." So, ladies and gentlemen, if you were in my shoes, what is there to learn or to follow? If it's values, well, we have all the values passed from generation to generation. That is why I said, nobody believes those who do not believe in God. It's our concept of God comes from our parents, from the day we were born. So, but there are kind of values that are really very conflicting. So in the end, I said to the media, "Well, Mr. Duterte, you have two, one praising you and one criticizing you. What would it be?" And I said, "I really do not know, but I'd like to sing a song for you." "What is that?" And I said, "Where do we go from here?" Yeah. You are friends of America, I know. Most of us are friends of the United States. Trump is my idol. Why? Because he walks the talks. When he says that I will do this, even how does not care. So that's the kind of thing that I also want. I do not care. I said, if I say that this is the way to do it, then this is the way to do it. It has no personal agenda. It has nothing there, except that the greater interest of the nation says that we have to be here. That's all. That is why if you happen to invest, you can rock to MON, and if it's defense, then Secretary Lorenzana talk to you. We are in the process of acquiring some little equipments, and this is what I said, and I'll tell you in public. I have ordered the military and the police that when it comes to intelligence equipments, you only buy. Do not go for the lowest bid. That's bullshit. You buy from something else, buy somebody else. No, everybody would be listening. It's 4:10. Next event is 4:30. Just tell them that I am good until 9 o'clock tonight. No problem. I have a crowd here listening to me. So, and clapping their hands every sentence. Can you beat that? She's my police aide. She is half Romanian, half Filipino. I'm one of the sponsors of her wedding. She's good. So that's it. I know that you are for the return of your investments. And if you do not dream of profits, then do not go into business. And that's why I said you're making profits. Of course. If you are into business, the thing is that you have to get profits or not. Why go into that kind of activity? Second, you want it graft-free. Third, easy to run your papers. And I said, if you are not familiar, just submit to me your application with a member of your, not really the ambassador, the commercial attaché would make representation. And I will get your papers and I will file it to the appropriate cabinet person. And I said, no asking, no nothing. You import your machines, just pay the dues, and that is all there is to it. I have a very, it's not quite good yet for some of my police, but John Anyo promised us that he will also fend them from going around us. The thing really is, I do not want corruption. For the 23 years that I was mayor of Davao City, of course, I never lost an election, actually, until I became, I was also a congressman. Then, because of the term limits, I could not run for the fourth time. I asked my daughter, Sarah, who is also a lawyer, to ask her to run for the mayorship, and I settled for the vice mayor position. And after that, I ran again. She took a long respite, but when the issue of the presidency cropped up, I said to her, I will never, never, never leave Davao with in the hands of somebody else. Took me years to make what Davao is today. You can all go to Davao and see for yourself. You would have wanted the entire country to be like Davao. Took me years to do it. I said, I've been mayor for 23 years. And then along the way, I fulfilled my promise to the people to make Davao City that is comfortable for everybody. Now, by and large, the larger picture is the country. I still have about 3 more years to do it. I'd be happy if I could just eradicate crime, drugs, and corruption. And I've been telling people, whenever in the Philippines, we can never have a country that is progressive and developed until we have fulfilled 2 conditions. You have to stop graft and corruption. There is corruption everywhere. There's graft everywhere. No? We will never rise. Second is, we have to have law and order. That has been the anchor of how I built my city now. It had a growth rate of 2-3% when I first became mayor. Davao is hitting 9 growth rate. very high, the highest of all the country. But Davao City is quite just like here. At Manila is very, well, it's an open city for enjoy. But in Davao, when I was mayor, the first time I said, no more firecrackers, no more smoking, no more drinking. It used to be good now. It's the limit was 2 o'clock. When I became mayor, I said 1 o'clock because you have to go home and sleep. Here comes this lady. He reduced it further. It's 12 o'clock. So 12 o'clock in Davao is like a Holy Friday for the Christians. You do not see anybody walking the streets. I'm telling you the truth. You can ask your friends to take a footage with your cameras. See how Davao is. In daytime, we have hit about 2 million population. But at night time, people have become used to just being there and disciplined. Well, in the early years, we had to, just like Dick Gordon is very strict, you have to force it down the throat of the people. This is to our national interest. If we don't, then do not blame me. So I said, this will be it. And so, but Davao remains to be a target of the ISIS. As a matter of fact, in the previous years, the cathedral, church, was bombed twice in between. The airport and the wharf suffered, and during her term, the night market was also. So we were able to manage. And so that was really very important to us is crime detection and prevention of crime, because these things are very important and very crucial to the maintenance of law and order. So I am here to invite you. Davao is progressing a lot. It has maintained its 6% despite of the trouble, economic growth, and if you want to participate, especially in field of whatever, agriculture, is also one promising. Our weakest link actually economically is the agricultural sector. And we can learn much about this from your government, courtesy of your citizens. So we're here to ask for help and to invite you to join us in nation building. You won't have a hard time, I know, because we almost share the same, all, as a matter of fact, in terms of values, in terms of our paradigm, in terms do not believe in that thing that I'm there to be a dictator. I will go down. I will go down the day my term ends. I will step down. I said, I even offered to the military. There was this case about corruption also in the military. I was fed up. So I said, you know, guys, I'm tired. I'm ready to go down. If you want me, if you don't believe in me, then find another leader to follow. Well, what's my purpose here of standing if nobody pays attention to me? And so I'm willing. If you guys think that you have another leader in mind, tell me. Problem is, there's a constitutional succession. I cannot talk about the vice president, but certainly I would prefer that something, if I go out, something more attuned with, the ways of human frailty and human greed and the tendency of people to find the easier route than follow the normal course of, and correct things. So we have a share of that also. Me, I have my faults, plenty. I have my share of, but never, in all those years that I've been in public office, when I was a prosecutor, when I was mayor, vice mayor, congressman, it was never a question or issue of money. More of my said that the criminals are being killed, but I have not, for the life of me, ordered the killing of a particular person. If you happen to be there, sorry. If you are into drugs, sorry. That's your fault. You asked for it. So my guarantee really is my word. And if you go there, and if you want a comfortable, maybe beginning, just tell me. I will husband it, your project, whatever it is. There will be no corruption. There will be no harassments, no nothing. It's an ordinary day-to-day government business that you have to follow. And if you can do that, and if you go there, tell me. We would be happy, somebody like you, gentlemen and ladies, doing business in my city, contributing to nation building of the Republic of the Philippines.